Thank you for listening to GCN. Be sure to visit GCNlive.com today.
Alrighty, welcome back to The Bright Side. I want to continue talking about the essential sugars, the 8 important nutrients. They're sometimes called glyconutrients, glyco meaning sugar. They're found throughout the natural world. They're important building blocks for various biochemicals, including chemicals that make up the brain and the nervous system. They're involved in cell-to-cell communication, cells talking to each other. They're also components of dietary fiber, which is how we started this whole subject in the first place, the ketogenic diet and fiber. We talked about the ketogenic diet and the importance of fiber to the ketogenic diet. Well, it turns out these essential sugars are building blocks for the formation of many substances that we call dietary fiber. These sugars, glyconutrients, cover the surface of many of our cells. Many bacterial cells are covered with a layer of these sugars. When we talk about the cell, and remember all disease is cell disease, and we talk about the surface of the cell, typically we refer to the membrane, which is made up of fats. But did you know that the membrane itself, in many cells at least, in many bacterial cells especially, the membrane of a cell itself is covered with sugars? It's on top of the fats. So you got your cell, then you got to cover it up with a membrane, and then on top of that membrane you got a coating of sugars. That coating of sugars is called the glycocalyx. Calyx means mask in Latin. Glyco means sugar. Hence, glycocalyx, sugar mask, and it sits on top of the membrane of a lot of cells. This glycocalyx is sticky, as sugars tend to be sticky, and it acts to keep cells adhered or in place, particularly inside blood vessels. Think about it. The inside of blood vessels, like any other part of the body, is lined with cells, and the inside cells, the cells that are inside the blood vessel, are subject to a lot of force because blood is constantly streaming through these vessels, and nature has set up a system where the cells will adhere to the inside part of the vessel via these sugars, via this glycocalyx. The intestine is the same way. There's lots of these sugar-coated cells inside the intestine because, like inside a blood vessel, the intestine is also the source of tremendous forces. Instead of blood going through, it's got food going through. So the glycocalyx has an adhering property. It helps cells stick. If you ever tried to, if you've ever brushed your teeth every day and then you go on to the dentist and the dentist says, well, I'm sorry, you got cavities. And you're like, I brush my teeth every day and I floss every day. How do I have cavities? Well, it turns out that bacteria in the mouth also produce this, or also have a sugar coating on top of them. It's glycocalyx, and it causes the cells to stick to your teeth, the bacterial cells to stick to your teeth. It forms what's called a biofilm. You perhaps have heard of that term, biofilm. A biofilm is a film. It's a layer of bacteria that is stuck to surfaces like your teeth with this glycocalyx, with this sugar. If you ever tried to clean your bathtub, and after you take a bath, you've got this kind of bathtub ring or bathtub slime, you had to scrub and scrub and scrub to get the tub white again, you have experienced the sticky nature of the glycocalyx, which covers the bacteria that compose much of what we call bathtub rings. So, on our last Bright Side episode, we left off talking about one particularly important essential sugar, glyconutrient. It's called NAG, which is a type of glucosamine. We're going to spend some time talking about glucosamine later on. Glucosamine, as most folks know, is important for arthritis. It helps build healthy joints. It also has a role to play in the health of the digestive tract. It has a role to play in the health of blood vessels. It has a role to play in the health of the skin. It helps prevent wrinkles. But for now, I want to talk about this super activated form of glucosamine, n-acetyl, or NAG, n-acetylglucosamine, which is basically like a little chunk of vinegar stuck to glucosamine. But that little chunk of vinegar makes ordinary glucosamine into superglucosamine, at least when it comes to healing. And NAG is an incredibly important healing substance. Now, if you're dealing with any kind of digestive problems, or if you have blood vessel issues, if you have a history of aneurysms, you definitely want to be supplementing with NAG. But you know what? Everybody benefits by using a little bit of NAG. Now, there are foods that you can use that contain NAG, particularly aloe vera. Also, noni has got some NAG. Pretty much all vegetables and plant material will have some. We'll talk about how you can get NAG. You can also, of course, get it as a supplement. But for now, I just want to talk about some of the amazing benefits of this stuff. most importantly when it comes to digestive health, and particularly when it comes to the autoimmune diseases of the intestine. Irritable bowel syndrome. Last program we talked about how pediatric irritable bowel syndrome can benefit from using NAG supplements. If you have irritable bowel syndrome and you're not pediatric, if you're an adult and you have irritable bowel syndrome, you can likewise benefit by using NAG. Also, celiac disease sufferers can benefit from using NAG. In fact, I would go so far as to say, as anyone who's dealing with a digestive health issue, whatever it is, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, celiac disease, whatever it is, anybody who's dealing with a digestive health issue, even autoimmune, will benefit from NAG supplementation, particularly if you're dealing with gluten intolerance or any food intolerance, really. One of the most important aspects of NAG is the role it plays in skin health. Now, as many of you guys know, alpha hydroxy acids like glycolic acid and lactic acid play an important role in anti-aging the skin. And if you've tried to use alpha hydroxy acids and you haven't been able to, you want to know about how you can employ this remarkable glyconutrient NAG in your skincare regimen. We'll continue talking about NAG and skin health when we come back from our break. I'm pharmacist Benny. Okay, so continuing on with n-acetyl glucosamine, or NAG, or NAG, super important stuff. It could be thought of as a souped-up version of glucosamine, which most folks have heard of, and we will definitely be talking about glucosamine here in the next few days. NAC, or NAG, n-acetyl glucosamine, which is, kind of like NAC, actually, in the sense that they're both acetylated. They both have a little chunk of vinegar attached to them. In any case, NAG plays a very important role when it comes to skin health, especially if you're using alpha hydroxy acids. Now, if you've been listening to me on this program, or if you've been to any of my presentations, or you're familiar with my work over the last 20 years in the skin health business, and I've been formulating skin health products as a pharmacist for almost 30 years, but I started my skincare company back in the early 1990s. Nobody really knew what glycolic acid or alpha hydroxy acid was when I started my skincare business. I remember I bought a drum of glycolic acid, a 55-gallon drum of 70% glycolic acid, which is pretty much as active as you're going to find. I bought an entire drum of the stuff for $400 back in 1991. Nobody had heard of it. And I started monkeying around with the stuff and giving it out to my friends. And I had a doctor who was writing prescriptions for it. This is when I had my skin compounding pharmacy. And he was writing prescriptions for glycolic acid for to use on skin tags, and also glycolic acid creams and lotions. And I started playing around with this stuff, and I was just blown away. Now, my friend who was a dermatologist, he had known about it because it was in the literature, but I hadn't really known too much about glycolic acid. And then I started playing around with this stuff, and I was like, oh my God. It was amazing for smoothing the skin, softening the skin, for helping fine lines disappear, and improving acne blemishes, particularly acne on the back. And then I started adding it to cleansers, and I pretty much built an entire skincare business on the power of glycolic acid. I branched out into vitamin C and other alpha hydroxy acids over the course of time, and I had my skincare company for over 20 years, and 25 years to be exact. I sold it a couple of years ago. But in any case, I built the company basically on the power of alpha hydroxy acids. Now, most of you guys have heard of alpha hydroxy acids. In my opinion, alpha hydroxy acids should be a key component of any anti-aging skincare protocol. You've probably heard of glycolic acid. There's also lactic acid. The famous acetic acid, which is the active ingredient in vinegar, that's an alpha hydroxy acid. Malic acid is found in apples, and tartaric acid is found in wine. And there's all kinds of versions of these glycolic acid, or these alpha hydroxy acids. Do you know you have alpha hydroxy acids in your fingernails even? You have them in your skin. They're just amazing, amazing substances. They're non-toxic, and we've talked about them in the past. In my opinion, these alpha hydroxy acids, particularly lactic acid, which is my favorite AHA, alpha hydroxy acids in general should be used as a key component of any anti-aging protocol. Alpha hydroxy acids, and also something called beta hydroxy acids, specifically salicylic acid, which is a derivative of aspirin, or actually aspirin is a derivative of salicylic acid. Alpha hydroxy acids, beta hydroxy acids like salicylic acid stimulates the production, turns on the production of new connective tissue. This is one of the major benefits of using alpha hydroxy acids on a regular basis. You're turning on the production of collagen. You're turning on the production of elastin. This connective tissue is what keeps the skin taut and firm and youthful looking, and you literally turn on the production of this connective tissue by putting alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acids right on the skin. You also turn on the production of moisture factors. You also turn on the growth of skin cells. It is beta hydroxy acids and alpha hydroxy acids are growth stimulants. They turn on growth. By the way, if you've ever worked out with weights and you've lifted weights until you felt the burn, or if you ever run a long distance or even a short distance, but you sprinted and you felt a burn in your thighs or in your hamstrings, what you're feeling is the burn of alpha hydroxy acids. And it's this burn, this alpha hydroxy acid induced burn, that stimulates the growth of muscle tissue. In the same way, when you use alpha hydroxy acids on top of the skin, you're turning on the production of skin cells and connective tissue. In fact, you can think of alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acids, when you put them on top of the skin, you could think of it as exercising your skin. It's like lifting weights for your skin, or resistance training for your skin. It's like as if your skin was doing a marathon, or your skin was doing a sprint. And in the same way that your muscles, your leg muscles, benefit from sprinting or from running a marathon, your skin benefits by topical application of alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acids. It's like taking your skin to the gym. That was a slogan I tried to get people to. I tried to get my business partner, I remember, to use that slogan, and she wasn't having any of it. She didn't really understand skin very well, and she wasn't buying it. But to tell you the truth, that's really what the stuff does. It's like taking your skin to the gym. Of course, AHAs also have an antibacterial property. They also have a skin oil dissolving property, so that makes alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acids ideal topical ingredients for folks dealing with acne or blemished skin. In fact, I would go so far as to say that alpha hydroxy acids or perhaps beta hydroxy acids are must-have ingredients if you are interested in keeping your skin healthy, if you're interested in anti-aging your skin, or if you have acne blemishes, you want to eliminate them. Now, you don't need anything fancy schmancy to get alpha hydroxy acids on your skin. Something as simple as putting vinegar, apple cider vinegar, on your skin once a day or once every few days will get you a dose of alpha hydroxy acids for the skin. You can use red wine to do it. You can use lemon juice or orange juice to do it. And I really encourage do-it-yourself topical skincare if you are actually doing active stuff. Now, there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers that use silly ingredients on the skin, and that doesn't, things like sometimes herbs, for example, on top of the skin, that's not going to really do much for your skin if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you're putting chamomile and oil and putting it on your skin. And by the way, oil doesn't do much for your skin either. In fact, I would never put oil on my skin, and that's why I don't formulate with oil. Vegetable oil is not good for your skin. I don't care if it's grapeseed oil or carrot seed oil or any fancy oil. Oil is not good for your skin. Vegetable oil is not good for your skin. Now, essential oils have some medicinal properties, but vegetable oils, I can always tell if a company knows what they're doing or if a chemist knows what they're doing in terms of skincare formulations by looking at the ingredient deck of their products. If I see vegetable oil in there, I immediately know that's a company that doesn't know what they're doing, or perhaps they just want to put some filler in their product to increase their profit margin. Let's be clear here. Vegetable oil doesn't belong in your skin. Vegetable oil is for vegetables, or internally there's some health benefits, but it doesn't belong on your skin. Anyway, alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acids do belong on your skin. There's lots of ways you can get them. We'll continue when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Before we went to break, we were talking about oils for the skin, vegetable oils for the skin. Vegetable oils don't belong on your skin, particularly liquid vegetable oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, corn oil. If you see vegetable oil on your ingredient deck, and hopefully you guys listening to this program are ingredient deck readers. If you're not, you should be when you're reading making a decision on what kind of skin health product to purchase, skincare product to purchase. Be an ingredient deck reader. Don't just be one of those rub it on your skin and hope for the best. Look what's in the product. That's how you can assess the value of a skin health product. Well, the best way to assess the value of a skin health product is to see what your skin looks like after a couple of days. Not just what it feels like right when you put the product on. That's the silliest way to determine whether you should buy or use a skincare product. How it feels when you put the product on. Yeah, it should feel good. You don't want to feel yucky, but that's not going to tell you how good the product is. Let me say that again. Rubbing a skin health product or skincare product in your skin and seeing how it feels and then making your buying decision is not a good idea because it's not telling you anything. The way you can assess the value of a skincare product and whether you should buy it or not is what your skin looks like a week or 2 or 3 later. Now, of course, if you're making a buying decision, sometimes you don't have 2 or 3 weeks to make your buying decision. You got to decide. So that's why you want to be an ingredient deck reader. You want to learn how to read an ingredient deck. One of the most important classes I teach is how to read an ingredient deck. When I was doing had my school and I was doing classes on skincare and skin health, and I'll be doing them again starting in July when my non-compete is up. But in any case, one of the most important classes was how to read an ingredient deck. So if you're making a buying decision or you're trying to determine the value of a skin health product, look at the ingredient deck. If you see oil, vegetable oil in there, that's a product you don't want. Vegetable oil oxidizes, number one, when it's in the presence of oxygen, when it's in the presence of light. When you're out in the sun, it oxidizes or it turns rancid. That's another way of saying oxidation. And it will accelerate skin aging. Even worse, cosmetic grade oil, the kind of oils most skincare companies use, is already oxidized. It's not food grade. It's a degraded form of oil. Now, coconut oil is an exception because coconut oil is solid and it's extremely stable. So I'm not talking about coconut oil here. I'm talking about vegetable oils that are liquid. Those should never be on your face, and they should never be in a product. And if you see it on the ingredient deck, you either have an ignorant company or a company that doesn't care. And that's why I never formulate with vegetable oils, with the exception of jojoba oil, which is a non-oil oil. Jojoba oil is an exception to what I just said because jojoba oil is technically not an oil. In any case, we'll continue talking about skin health a little bit. We'll talk about alpha hydroxy acids, and we'll talk about how you can use NAG to help support skin health and also to help support the benefits of alpha hydroxy acids. We'll do that in coming Brightside episodes. Time to hit our phones. We got a full board here, so I was going to read a couple stories here, but I got a full board of folks here, so let's move to let's go to Steve in Missouri. Good morning and welcome to the Brightside, Steve.
Benjamin Fuchs, how are you?
I am good. Hang on just a second, Steve. Hey, Justin, will you grab that phone for me if you're listening? Thank you. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Doug Winfrey gave me your number.
Oh, good. How do you know Doug? How do you know Doug?
Just listening to the program, the Dead Doctors program.
Okay.
And so I called after the program that you were on the other day.
You missed me.
For Dr. Wallach. Couldn't get through, so I talked to Doug, and he gave me your number and said I might be able to get on here easier. I've got a half a dozen questions, but I'm going to give you one.
Okay.
And then another time I'll call back, and we'll try to get to some of these other problems.
Sounds good. Are you a longevity? I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you a longevity distributor?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
right, cool.
Yeah, you have been for a long time. But anyway, we're just starting to use the product like we should. We've got women who have had total hysterectomies, and like all women who have, their hormones are out of balance, black facial hair, and so on and so forth. Right. What can we do for these women?
Well, that's a great question, Steve. First of all, for anybody listening, do not let a doctor take out your female organs unless you got cancer. Endometriosis or heavy periods or cysts, whatever, those are not reasons to have your female organs removed. You are, as Steve pointed out very astutely, you are setting yourself up for a lifetime of health misery, not to mention cosmetic misery for your skin if you have those organs taken out. And doctors love taking those organs out. I'm not going to besmirch individual doctors, but I will tell you there's a lot of money to be made in removing organs. They will tell you don't need them if you're not having a baby. Baloney. Thank you, Steve, for pointing that out. Now, if you do have had a hysterectomy, the most important thing to consider is fat metabolism. Now, we've talked in this program a lot, ad nauseum almost, about how important fats are, fat metabolism is. We've been spending so much time on the ketogenic diet. We'll continue talking about the ketogenic diet, which is a fat diet. Fats are so important. I could do just a show on fats. We could call this the fat show. And I'm not talking about the ugly fat on our hips. I'm talking about the importance of health, the health importance of fats. Without your uterus, without your ovaries, without your female organs, after you have had a hysterectomy, you will not be processing fats as effectively. Now, I'm not going to get into the chemistry of that except to say that the hormone estrogen is involved in fat metabolism, and without estrogen, or without a steady source of estrogen, which is what will happen when you have these organs removed, you're not going to be able to process fats correctly, and that is going to tumble out of control into a whole slew of health problems. If you've had a hysterectomy, here's what you need to do. And this is also true, by the way, if you've had a gallbladder removed, because likewise you're going to have a problem processing fats. So to answer your question, Steve, the first thing to consider is fats and fat metabolism. Number one, get on fatty vitamin supplements. Vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D, and please don't forget vitamin K. Very important and very underappreciated. Okay. Make sure you're getting some sunshine to get your vitamin D. Make sure you're using essential fatty acid supplements generously. Omega-3 and omega-6, get yourself on the ultimate EFAs. Here's another one that people don't talk a lot and enough about, although if you've listened to this program, I talk a ton about it, and that's probiotics and good bacteria for fat processing. Without estrogen, and if you're not processing fats correctly, you're going to be at risk for all kinds of fat metabolite problems. Breakdown products of fats can be toxic. Using probiotic supplements and fermented foods can help you process your fats correctly, so make sure you're supporting intestinal health by using the nightly essence, by eating lots of fiber, drinking vegetable juices that contain fiber, and staying away from any problem foods that can exacerbate intestinal problems. In addition to probiotics and in addition to good bacteria and fermented foods and fiber, you also want to support fat metabolism by using bile salts, B-I-L-E, bile salts, which you'll get in your ultimate enzymes, as well as lecithin, and then also, you might also want to consider apple cider vinegar with your meals, which can help with fat metabolism, and then also pancreatic enzymes. You'll get a lot of this in your ultimate enzymes from Longevity. So there's lots more, but that's, especially minerals now that I think about it, because you're not going to be able to utilize minerals as effectively if you're not processing fat. So calcium, magnesium, zinc, they're all important. Selenium also. Selenium is extra important because of its role in helping balance out toxic estrogen. So lots of good information for you there. That's not by any means complete. You also want to get on a good nutritional supplement program that has the Mighty 90 in there, like the Healthy Start Pack. If you're using Longevity products, I would go Healthy Start Pack, Ultimate Enzymes, Fucoid Z, and then you'll have to go to the health food store to get some of these extra fatty vitamins, and also, of course, your Ultimate EFAs. Don't forget those. Steve, I got to motivate. You got to take a break.
Brother.
Thank you for your call. Appreciate it, and thanks for pointing that out. It's a really good question. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll take a break and come back with more good health information right after this. Let's go to Robert in Colorado. Good morning, Robert. Is this which Robert is this? Skinny Robert?
Hey, yeah, this is Getting Skinny Robert.
I love it. What's up, Skinny Robert? How's it going today?
Hey, well, I'm kind of stalled here. That was one of the reasons I called. Switching
with your weight.
With the weight and going from ASAP to Rev and getting dry skin and all that kind of stuff. So I thought I'd call the expert.
Okay, good deal. Very common to plateau, especially if you have a lot of weight to lose. Usually, and I've said this a lot of times, and this is really important, and it's very good news in a way. The sicker you are, the faster you turn it around. The more weight you need to lose, the faster the pounds go off. However, the bad news is that there's a plateau that hits. So if you're recovering from, if you're dealing with autoimmune disease, you got a whole bunch of health challenges, and you get on a nutritional supplement program, start to change your life, you're going to notice results pretty darn quickly, almost immediately, and those results are going to get better and better up to a point. And then you're going to tend to plateau. Likewise with weight loss. If you need to lose 200 pounds, the first 100 pounds are going to come off relatively easily, even 150 pounds. Then the last 50 pounds or so is going to be tricky. Now with weight loss, you want to think of the hormone cortisol. That's the first thing to think of. Cortisol will keep those extra 50 pounds on pretty resiliently. It's going to be very tough to lose that last 50 pounds if your cortisol is spiked. Now, cortisol is stress hormone, as most of you guys know, and there's two reasons why cortisol levels go up. Number one, because of emotional and mental stresses, and and also because of physical stresses. And to the body, they're equal. A credit card bill stress, or the stress of the New World Order, or the stress of a dysfunctional relationship, or a crappy job, to the body are equal to the stress of cancer, or equal to the stress of blood sugar, of elevated blood sugar, or equal to the stress of inflammation and autoimmunity, and equal to the stress of lousy food. So when I'm talking about stresses, I'm talking about physical, mental, and emotional stresses. Now, I'm not going to deal with mental and emotional because, as important as they are, that's not what we talk about on this program. But from a physiologic perspective, the number one cause of stress is elevated blood sugar. So you got to keep your blood sugar down as best as possible, and this is where the ketogenic diet comes in. Have you tried the ketogenic diet yet, Robert?
Yep. We're going that way right now.
Okay, so stick with it. You may have a little bit of the keto flu and adaptation period. Go through it. It'll take a few weeks. Make sure you're drinking lots of water when you're going through that keto flu. That can help. And then once you get into some ketosis, that's going to make a huge difference in lowering your cortisol as well as in helping you lose weight. The next thing you might want to consider doing is things that rev up the metabolism, although I'd be a little bit careful with those. One of my favorite is an amino acid called tyrosine. Have you tried that?
No, I have not.
Get yourself on 500 milligrams of tyrosine. If it makes you jittery, back down to maybe 200 or 250 milligrams of tyrosine. It's for anybody who wants to lose weight in the short run and rev up the metabolism. It does make some folks jittery, so you might want to be a little bit careful with it. Also, there's tyrosine has a colleague called phenylalanine, and that one works well too. Make sure you're drinking your green tea. That is another way that you can help rev up your metabolism, although, again, you don't want to do too much, like you don't want to do too much tyrosine or phenylalanine, because they can actually spike your cortisol. You don't want that. If you're not exercising, get your butt in the gym. This is where you're going to, the last 50 pounds or so, which is what I think you need to lose, you were saying, Robert, 50 pounds or so, that's going to be where you really need to start kicking some butt by getting on a treadmill or making sure that you're going ketogenic and doing the calorie restriction and all of the other hardcore strategies when it comes to losing weight. You want to be losing 2 to 5 pounds a week. Now, when you started losing, you're probably losing 10 or 15 pounds a week. But now that's going to slow down a little bit. So you want to be making sure you're losing 2 to 5 pounds a week, and that means within 10 weeks or less, you should be able to lose that 50 pounds. So if you're still having trouble, and in a couple of weeks, give me a call. Either send me an email or give me a call. But that ought to help you get over the hump, the plateau hump that you're experiencing. Thanks for your call, Robert, man. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right, take care, buddy. All right, let's go to Ben in Florida. What's up, Ben? Good morning.
Good morning, pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Listen, my daughter's in her last trimester. She's expecting. And
congratulations.
Thank you. She has itching problems. I think they call it obstetric cholestasis. Apparently, the bile is not going into the intestine like it's supposed to, and it's building up in the body.
It's causing itching.
Exactly.
Yes, this is one of the hidden causes of itching, by the way, is bile and liver problems. Bile, when it's deposited in the skin, if it's not being excreted properly, will cause really very uncomfortable itching, sometimes rashes as well. Get her on some bile salts right away. Get her on the ultimate enzymes from Longevity. I would take extra bile salts if I were you. You also might want to take some lecithin with that as well. Okay, she's not getting bile. If she's not getting bile through the duct, she's not absorbing her fats either. So bile salts will help her as well as lecithin. I would also be using fatty vitamins, vitamin A especially. Your doctor may give you some pushback on vitamin A because they think it's a problem. It's not. You'll have to make your own decision on that, but I would be using it. Vitamin E maybe, and also vitamin D through the best way to get vitamin D is from the sun, but also fish oil. If she's not doing EFAs, she should use those as well. She might also want to consider apple cider vinegar with her meals, and then maybe pancreatic enzymes. All of this is in the name of diluting some of that bile, helping it get through the ducts. If she has any food toxicity, food allergens, if she has problem foods, she absolutely has to stay away from those. Those can cause clogs in the gallbladder that can exacerbate the problem. And I would also be using good bacteria. Make sure she's on the nightly essence, maybe 9 capsules a day. And I would also be using fermented food and veggie juices. Let's see if there's anything else I want to tell you here. That should help her. Everything we just talked about. If she wants to go, that's a bunch of good information for you there. Anything else that you want to talk about?
Very good. I thank you very kindly.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day. Congratulations to Ben. All right, Ken in New York. What's going on, man?
Hello.
Hello there. How you doing, Ken?
Hi, fine. I'm calling for Renee. She's in her early 40s. They discovered fibroids fibroids. One of them is fairly large, I guess, 7 centimeters.
Uterine fibroid? Where were the fibroids?
Uterine fibroid, and there's a small, I guess there's a polyp and a small cyst on one of her ovaries.
Are they treating her? They want to take her organs? They want to put birth control pill?
They haven't said yet. She just
here's a couple things, okay? Fibroids or growths in general, 2 things to think about. Number 1, you want to think about insulin, blood sugar. So get her immediately on some kind of low carb or ketogenic diet to lower her blood sugar. Also use supplements that will help her process sugar. The B vitamins, thiamine, niacin. If you're using longevity products, get her on the Ultimate Niacin. Get her on the Sweeties. Use the Fucoid Z. All of this is in the interests of lowering her blood sugar, helping her process sugar. The minerals selenium and sulfur and zinc are also very important. Same with magnesium. Magnesium has some general female health benefits as well, so make extra sure she's doing magnesium. And also, the second hormone that's involved with the growth of cysts and fibroids is estrogen. Usually, women who are producing polyps and fibroids, they're usually high estrogen producers. Have her balancing out the estrogen with progesterone cream or pregnenolone capsules, 100 to 200 milligrams a day of pregnenolone capsules, or she can also use progesterone cream. I would go with the prescription variety of progesterone cream. Make sure it's real progesterone. Don't let them put her on fake progesterone. And then also good bacteria which help her process estrogen, the Ultimate Nightly Essence from Longevity, and then vegetable juices with the fiber. The fiber is very important. So focus on insulin, focus on estrogen. This is true for everybody who's dealing with polyps or cysts, uterine fibroids or uterine cysts or polyps. And then also make sure she's using essential fatty acids, your Ultimate EFAs from Longevity. All right, Ken, I got to motivate. Does that help?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Take care, man. All right, Karl, the Truth Raider, you get the last word. Got to go quickly, though, bro.
Good morning, Pharmacist Ben.
Greetings.
This segment today is exposing the medical model. Well, the usual suspect is the drug companies, and this one is Merck. They have celebrities. Yeah, they have these celebrities come on, say like Terry Bradshaw saying, coming to your door, and somebody answers the door, hey, wow, what a surprise, Terry Bradshaw. Will say, hey, I'll tell you what a surprise is, shingles. Come on in, I'll tell you all about it. And it alludes to the fear-mongering, what it's going to do to you, and this contact your doctor to find out the secret remedy. It's going to be one of our medical model vaccinations. So tell the folks out there, Pharmacist Ben, what the risks perhaps and benefits could be from the
shingles vaccine?
The shingles virus.
You know, vaccines, first of all, the shingles vaccine doesn't really even work. They played some statistical games to make it look like it worked a lot better than it does. It really doesn't work put it this way, it's not 100% guarantee that you're not going to get shingles, but what you will get is a vaccine. And what's in the vaccine, nobody knows. This is the big problem, the way I see it with vaccines, is nobody knows what the heck is in that thing. They're just injecting you assuming that it's got the appropriate active material, but when they're making vaccines, they put all kinds of things in there, from preservatives to excipients, none of which should be in your blood for anybody. So I'm not a big believer in vaccines. And on top of that, shingles is a virus that only affects people who are weak, immune system weak, that is, especially older people. Strengthen your immune system. That's the way to go. Thank you, by the way, Karl. Appreciate it. And I wish we had more time to talk about. Maybe we'll cover that in a future episode. I did a blog post on there, pharmacistben.com or criticalhealthnews.com. Look for my blog post on the shingles vaccine. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Please check out my Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com, especially our Truth Retinol 5% gel, as well as our Truth Serum, Truth Omega-6 Healing Cream, and Truth Balm. And, of course, if you want to join the Brightside Ben team, call 866-735-2470. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have an awesome, wonderful, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks.